dream. They're not as far as they seem. Sometimes all you really need is to believe. If you believe you can achieve without the see. If you believe you can achieve without the see. If you believe you can achieve without the see. See that the see does achieve. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Achieve with Dr. C. Cheryl. I am your host, Dr. Cheryl Carr, and I am your work doctor. Thank you for joining me this morning. I'm so grateful to be back in this chair after having about a 3-week battle that is going to be the topic of our discussion today. I'm going to be sharing some information with you guys, still staying on the subject of pandemic recovery and sharing with you guys my personal experience with COVID-21, the new mutated strain, as well as the things that I am learning about the pandemic, the recovery, and what I believe needs to be your own self-advocacy response. And I'll be sharing some opinions. These are my personal opinions. They're not meant to give medical advice. They're not meant to give you advice to follow beyond the fact that it's my personal opinion. It's my personal experience, and I'll make my attorney happy. You can follow the advice if it fits what you want to do. But again, even though I am a doctor, I am not a medical doctor. I am not giving you medical advice. I'm simply sharing my experience. So let's get started. First of all, I think it's been 3 weeks since the last time I was on. And I came on and let you guys know that I had tested positive for COVID and was symptomatic. Now, that was quite the experience because I had tested 2 times before. And just to share my own personal experience, I do believe the tests are not accurate. And you can have full-blown COVID and be asymptomatic, which is what I believe my brother may have because he was here with me while I was exposed as well as while I was openly ill with COVID. But the tests aren't 100% accurate. I personally, sadly, know of a friend whose friend was diagnosed twice negative with COVID until the 3rd time when they admitted her into the hospital. That's when they finally say, yes, she does have COVID. There are so many mutated strains that I just believe it's difficult. It's just difficult to determine beyond symptoms. And what I can definitely tell you from my experience, and I'll be sharing some of the things that I think are the reason why I'm still alive. I was that ill. 3 ER visits, 1 ambulance call to the house because my fever was 104. So I was pretty sick. And I believe sincerely, had I not had a real strong physical fitness and overall healthiness, that my experience with it probably would have sent me to ICU, like a few of my friends have had to visit. This mutated strain, this COVID-21, I think is even more
contagious. I also, when this first started, when the pandemic first started last year, I posted a lot of scientific data, research that I had done, because that's just my response to something that could threaten my life or the life of those I love, as well as it's impacting the world. I wanted to have and acquire information for my own. So I did my own research. Um, and I learned that COVID was 90%. I think at the time it was 90% curable. And I think those stats are even higher. But what they don't tell you is while you are experiencing COVID, they only treat your symptoms as best they can. And it's not, there's no modality of treatment that has been effective, because this, I believe this is a weaponized virus. I'm just going to say it. That's my personal opinion. Yes, I'm a conspiracy theorist, but not the radicalized, nutty, crazy people we see on the news and out in public talking about things that are just, not mentally or emotionally healthy, in my opinion. But I do believe this is a smart virus. It was created in a lab. Its purpose was chemical warfare. And I'm not going to get into disparaging groups of people or talking about people from a different country, a different race, because that's just not me. But I do want to tell you, I definitely believe this is chemical warfare. I know my experience once I started having symptoms, which I had. You can have a variety of symptoms. It affects the body in so many different ways. I had neurological symptoms, and I had reverse symptoms, where usually COVID destroys your sense of taste and smell. Mine was the exact opposite. I could smell everything, and everything tasted salty to me. And no matter what it was, drinking tea tasted like salt. Eating soup tasted like salt. Drinking juice tasted like salt. And that was only at the beginning. And once I experienced a couple of days in, I know when I'm ill. I had trouble breathing. I had trouble sleeping. I couldn't keep anything down. I couldn't taste, and I could smell everything, and everything got on my nerves. And the fatigue, I couldn't even walk across the room. Just getting out of bed, getting in the shower, brushing my teeth, everything wore me out. And I believe the first week I slept anywhere from 15 to 20 hours a day. And I would only get up to come into, our common area, because my brother and I, once he took me to the ER and I was diagnosed with COVID, we agreed to a safe area. We agreed to not exposing him. And of course, you guys know I ward cleaning anyway. So my house was already full of Lysol and Clorox bleach and all the things to keep our common area or any area I touched, he could sanitize, as well as we had gloves and multiple masks. But those first couple of days was just a lot of neurological headaches, skin sensitivity, everything hurt. And I've had type A flu before. So those of you running around saying COVID is just like the flu, forget you. No, it is. It is not. It has a lot of similarities to the flu, But this is a whole nother level. And what this particular virus does is it affected me in the early afternoons where my temperature would just shoot up. I would have trouble breathing. My skin was hurting. Everything hurt. I could only be completely naked. And even then, having covers on me hurt. And I'm not talking about, just, sensitivity. I have a new empathy for people with autism that have multisensory disorders and they don't like textures. And I'm that way anyway. I don't like textures with food and clothes, certain way things felt. And it seemed like that's how COVID affected me, is it amplified those things. I have a high olfactory system. I can smell anyway, but the way the virus affected me was it just sent everything off the charts to an abnormal level. And then once your body becomes fevered, the virus then begins to replicate. And what its goal is to get deep into your respiratory system and even your vascular system so that it can replicate itself and make you sicker and sicker and sicker. And that's exactly what this virus did to me. First week was bad. Second week, I almost left here. I've never felt that ill. And I had a couple of experiences in my delirium in fevered state that, I felt like I thought I was seeing people I love that have already passed and having conversations and things that made me feel like I was getting my house in order. And even one of my experiences, I asked, am I dead? Yeah, this sounds crazy, but I think I want to be perfectly honest with you guys and share what really happened to me, because I'm hoping and sharing just my personal experience again, that those of you that have not had someone you love or experienced COVID yourself will understand a little bit better and stop with the misinformation, or stop saying, we don't need masks, we don't need to do all these safety precautions because it's just like the flu and it's replaced the flu. No, it's not just like the flu. It has similarities, but this virus, because I believe, again, it's weaponized and it's chemical warfare against our country, it's smart. And it affects your body in a way that I consider to make it the most lethal for that host. That's its goal. Once it gets into your system, it starts affecting you in the most traumatic way possible. So you guys know, and I just found out I'm not on Facebook, but I just clicked the link to go live on Facebook. So for those of you that didn't catch the beginning of my broadcast, please go listen to the rebroadcast, listen to it on Facebook and on my YouTube channel, Dr. Cheryl, and share it. And again, what I'm talking about today is I'm sharing my personal experience with COVID, which my doctor believes I had the mutated strain, that new COVID-21 is what they're calling it. And I was sharing at the beginning of the broadcast how I believe, first of all, I want to repeat, because this is just now going live on Facebook, I want to repeat, I'm not giving medical advice. I'm not giving you even psychology advice, which I can do, but I'm not even giving that. I am merely sharing my personal opinion and my personal experience having just survived a battle with COVID. I was just saying, for people that may hear it again and it bears repeating, I want us to stop saying, oh, it's just like the flu. This is just the flu. Yes, it is 90 to 98% recoverable or curable or treatable with flu treatments or modalities of treatment like how we treat the flu. But I want to emphatically state, anybody that thinks catching this is just like catching the flu, and I'm someone who's had type A flu a few years back, so I can share that experience of having the flu with catching COVID. And I caught COVID. I want to emphasize this as well. I have relaxed my interactions with people, and I had relaxed my contact tracing, and I had relaxed my allowing people into my home. I just kind of relaxed some of the extreme things I did at the very beginning. And that's exactly how I contracted it. I want to emphasize the fact that most people, most of us that have caught COVID, we're catching it from friends, family, and people we come in close contact with who neglect to tell us they have been to super spreader events, or they are hanging around with people that are regularly not practicing best practices for COVID. Don't care about the pandemic. They don't believe it, or they think, oh, it's just the flu. People need to get over themselves. No, it's not just like the flu. So, having experienced it, replicating, having experienced 3 ER visits, 3 liters of oxygen, 2 breathing treatments, and then having to purchase and bring a nebulizer home, and experiencing having to give myself treatments just to be able to breathe. I literally could not breathe through my nostrils, and I could not breathe in. I still can't without experiencing coughing. So stop believing it's just like the flu. This is a smart chemical warfare weaponized virus. I don't care what anybody else says. That's been my experience. That is my informed research and personal experience-based decision. And they can't confuse me with any other facts. So let's just get that straight. That's my whole mindset about COVID. Let's talk about the experience of COVID so I can share with you guys what you might face. Because 1, I'm an advocate for your own health and management of your health. Number 2, I'm fit, I'm healthy, I have no underlying health issues, just, aging, which ain't for the faint of heart. So those 3 things are very important. I advocate for my own health and well-being. My experience in being as ill as I was is, number 1, yes, our medical and health and pharmaceutical industry is not set up to make you healthy. And the way we're treating COVID is to make sure those that are viable and can survive receive the minimal modalities of treatment that they have available. I think our government has sunk so much money into getting some vaccine. There's not a real standardized treatment. And you're just shuttled to a portion of the hospital and you're seen by medical doctors and nurses that are loving and caring. God bless you all. Oh my goodness. I don't know how you're doing what you do every day, but thank you for your kindness, for being willing to risk your life, because I know what you have had to have seen having COVID patients. So thank you, nurses, doctors, PAs, all of you that treated me. Thank you to the 6 or 7 EMTs that came to my house when we had to call 911 when my temperature got up to 104. Thank you. But what I want you guys to know is they can only treat the symptoms in front of them, and they're only going to do what's viable. Like if they think they can save your life, but even that is minimal. They're going to put you in ICU, or they're going to send you home to manage your symptoms with Tylenol, ibuprofen, isolation. I mean, I did everything that I know to do. And I want to share some of those things with you guys in case you become ill or someone you love becomes ill and you have to treat COVID, because hospitals are inundated. It's very sad when you go to the ER and they're kind, they're nice, they're loving, they're sympathetic, but they're strapped. So, they put me into the ER and immediately began to try and bring my fever down. My brother couldn't even go in with me. I'm grateful to God my brother is still here with me. He's been here since Christmas. Otherwise, I would have gone through this with paid medical care or people that don't love me and aren't concerned about me. But my brother was here and helped nurse me back to health. So anyway, he couldn't come into the ER with me. So I'm in there delirious with fever, unable to speak very well, completely reliant on the people taking care of me. Now, I had an extremely funny experience with my third visit, and I had a Nigerian male nurse who wanted to talk to me about how I got COVID while I'm doing a breathing treatment and oxygen. It was hysterically funny. He was funny. But he just wanted to talk and tell me, you can't trust people right now. And again, I want to, because I wasn't live on Facebook, I want to let you guys know I did not catch COVID anywhere but right here in Texas, exposed to a friend who went to a super spreader event that I didn't find out about until after I became ill. And my personal decision now is I've gone back to my extreme COVID practices where family, friend, I don't care who you are. If you go to parties, you ain't coming around me. You better start doing contact tracing on family and friends and find out where they're going, because that's what exposed me. And if I did not have a great physical, mental, and emotional fitness, I don't think I'd be here talking to you guys. I was that sick. And I'm not exaggerating. So I want to go back to being treated. in the fact that there are no modalities of treatment. They can only treat your symptoms. And if you read and do your research, this weaponized smart virus learns your body, replicates in a fevered state, and its goal is to implant itself in your circulatory, vascular, and respiratory system. Once it does that, that's where you can hear my voice now. You have difficulty breathing. And for those of you that experience COVID, there are two things I want to share with you. And if you haven't had it yet, these are things I think you just need to have in your home. One, you need a blood pressure cuff. They're not expensive. You can buy these things. You need an oxygenator because my oxygen dropped down to 88 twice, and it averaged 92. And that's when they get concerned. Anytime it drops below 94, your body and your oxygen uptake, things are not working well. And what your body does, because vital organs like your brain, your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, things that keep you alive, that's where it will shut off the necessary oxygen to keep your vital oxygen needs met. So your fingertips will go blue, your lips will go blue. Your skin is very sensitive because, again, you're not getting the oxygen you need. The fatigue, I think, is another reason why the body just makes you conserve energy. So it makes you lay down. I was sleeping maybe 15, 20 hours a day. And I like my sleep anyway, but this wasn't normal sleep. I was surprised every time I woke up. And most times I woke up in a pool of sweat. So I had to get up, change pajamas, change clothes, change my sheets. And a lot of times I didn't even have clothes on because my skin was so sensitive those first couple of days. So besides having those things, you need aspirin, you need ibuprofen. You should have those things in your medical cabinet. And if you're not vitamin megadosing right now, I highly suggest you start taking vitamin D and vitamin C. Those are the main things they're finding the virus leaches out of your system. And hydration is another thing. I love my water. You guys know that. I've shown you my water bottles and my drinking habits and just what I do. But I was extremely hydrated because of the fever and just because of, like I said, my body was conserving energy and conserving everything. So keep these things on hand and understand you need to work on your physical fitness and your overall health and well-being because your chances of catching this are great. COVID-21, which is the mutated strain they believe I had, is so easily caught. It is even more easily caught than COVID-19. That's what they're saying. The statistics are showing because this virus is smart and it is mutating and it's learning human hosts. And your individual experience with COVID ain't going to be like mine. It's going to learn your body. It's going to infect your body. That's what it did to me. As I said, I had reverse symptoms. I could smell everything and I could taste everything that tasted like salt. It didn't matter what I drank, ate, soup, coffee, tea, juice, everything tasted just salty. I know I made my poor brother nutty a couple of times because he was making me things because I had no appetite, of course, and he was making me things to help me, hot toddies and things. Like I said, they just give you like a Z-Pack. They gave me Tylenol 3 to help with the pain because I had excruciating pain. Like I said, I had neurological symptoms. And that's how the virus affected me. Then it's just hard to drink or eat anything, to just put anything in my system. And I'm telling you guys this because, number one, start doing your contact tracing, even with your kids. Find out where they're going, who they're hanging out with, and understand chances of contracting COVID are greater than 90%. And yes, you may get through it, but you don't want to be that sick. I know my own personal experience is just, it's not like the flu. And you can contract it more than once. It doesn't just happen once and then you're immune to it. And even the vaccine only lessens your symptoms. It does not keep you from catching COVID. So everything I'm telling you is because the likelihood of you or someone you love contracting this virus is great. And it is best to understand how to advocate for your own recovery and health, the things that you need to have in your war chest in case you do get sick, and to understand it could kill you. And again, I know I'm over 50. I know if I did not have a base and a foundation of health and wellness, understand how to breathe, understand how to check my symptoms, treat my symptoms, I'm not sure I would have survived. And unfortunately, medical system is not set up to make sure you recover. It's set up to treat symptoms and to ICU people that are severely ill. So I showed you the things that I have, of course, temperature taking, oxygenator, blood pressure cuff. You also need aspirin, ibuprofen, Tylenol, Gatorade, even though they cautioned me, because the two most prevalent, consistent, highly affected organs, besides your respiratory system, your lungs, is your kidneys and blood clotting. Those are so common with COVID survivors that I want to caution anyone. If you've had COVID, I don't care what your symptoms were like, please get some baby aspirin, start taking 2 a day. The issue with blood clotting, they're not really talking about it. And I want to talk to women and people with either diabetes or any underlying chronic health disease, heart, all of that. Please do everything you can not to contract this virus. Chances are that you will, but make sure that you listen to people that have gone through it and have been very ill. Not just, asymptomatic. Those people don't think it's that bad. Oh, it's just like the flu, or, oh, all I had was a little bit of fatigue. No, this almost took me away from here. And I'm still fighting to get back to my level of health and well-being. And it does severely affect you emotionally. Besides the kidneys and wanting to shut down, I had a couple of times where I felt like my kidneys were shutting down. But blood clotting is another something. And I've been highly alert to that. Practicing good yoga, practicing reverse blood flow with headstands and things that are really hard to do when you're congested, but I'm doing them anyway. And then another something I learned from the EMTs. Remember, I said my brother called the ambulance. They were out here. I had 6 EMTs in my bedroom. And one of the things they said to me is to make sure you're not sleeping on your back. If you become ill with COVID, sleep on your stomach. It helps your lungs expand and it helps you breathe. Now, you have to rotate, though. Either your stomach or your right side are the best to lay on, and put a pillow between your knees. And as much as possible, try to lay supine or straight line. And I'm blessed. I have an adjustable bed. So I was able to raise my bed. When I did feel like I just wanted to lay on my back, I made sure I was almost in a seated position. And I learned that from having type A flu the first time when I had that bad congestion back in 2014, 2015, when I couldn't lay down and breathe. And yeah, I almost died then. There's something about breathing. Once you lose that ability, you become very concerned about how you're breathing. And like I said, at my sickest, I actually had to get 3 liters of oxygen put into my body. So those are all the things that, again, my personal experience, my personal opinions, and what I believe are data researched encounters with this virus. So for me, I want to highly encourage you guys again to get the things that you saw. If you don't have them already, get them. Thank you, Yolanda. I'm glad I'm healed too. And now I'm working on being whole. And that requires monitoring my own symptoms and how this is just tore through my body. I've lost so much weight, which I really don't mind that, but it doesn't look healthy. It's like saggy skin, weight loss. Because for about 3 weeks, I don't think I ate a solid meal. And again, everything tasted like salt. But going back to the main points I want to make. Number one, your chances of contracting COVID are great, especially this mutated strain. They're not telling us the truth. They're not telling us everything because people are already in pandemic fatigue and they don't care. And you have this group of people that believe it's just like the flu. They're just making the flu not existent. And there's probably some truth to that. But this virus is not just like the flu. It's not. And again, I've had type A flu, and now I've had COVID, and my doctor believes I've had COVID-21, the mutated strain, which I think they've stopped counting the strain. This vaccine does not prevent you from catching COVID. It only lessens your symptoms in the hopes they will be less life-threatening. This virus is, I believe, a smart virus. I believe it knows how to impact and do the most damage to its host. I know the experiences I had with viruses before. I know the experiences I've had with this. You ain't gonna change my mind. I don't care who you are. I'm sharing my personal opinions and facts I experienced. And this is based on research from last year to today, my own personal experience with this virus. The pandemic isn't going to stop. This virus was released and it is mutating and it ain't going away. So the only thing, and yes, you can catch it more than once. That's what I want you guys to understand. You don't have immunity. So it's best to learn how to treat if you catch it, because you can't just roll up in the hospital, get a shot, get treatment, and then COVID goes away. Average recovery with COVID is 3 months. That's average recovery. You experience fatigue, you experience inability to breathe, the coughing. I've never coughed like that. People have cracked ribs coughing so hard. It's highly contractible. So you can be running around here spreading COVID. And no, I don't think masks work. I just think they contain spittle. They keep stuff from getting all over because people are nasty. People will cough and not cover their mouth. People will sneeze and not cover their sneeze. People will touch stuff and ain't washed hand one. That's just, and let me say this, because again, I contracted COVID having been with someone who went to a super spreader event, and I didn't know it until after I got sick. Now, you can't change people. People aren't necessarily against you. People are just for themselves. And you're not going to change human behavior. And being a behavior expert, I want to share this with you. People are selfish. We are selfish creatures. We are for ourselves. We don't necessarily care about you. And we're not necessarily against you. We're just for ourselves. So we're going to go where we want to go. We're going to eat where we want to eat. We're going to talk to who we want to talk to. We're going to go to parties with our friends and co-workers and not wear masks, because people either haven't had COVID, or they had a mild case, or they were asymptomatic, and they just think it's no big deal. That's our society, especially American society. We are selfish creatures. It's human behavior. And I already know I can't change that. I can't make somebody tell me where they've been, who they've been with. So all I can do is control my own behavior, and as best I can control my own environment. And have a plan in place for if you contract COVID and it ain't just like the flu. Now, for me, I'm at work on my mental and emotional recovery just as much as I'm at work on my physical recovery. Because it's not just enough to not be as deathly ill. I want to get back to a state of health and wellness where I don't feel illness, fatigue, difficulty breathing, coughing. I want to get back there. So that's what I'm working towards. But having gone through the experience, the delirium, realizing I actually got it, and people thinking, oh, you went to Mexico, so you got, no, I got it right here in Texas. I would go to Mexico again. They're safer than we are in this country. And again, that's my own personal experience and opinion. And you ain't going to change that. So, yes, and Charmaine, thank you. This is great information. And I hope it will help somebody, especially those of you that are working and you're being exposed, and you might just contract this mutated strain like I did. And you need this information. You need somebody telling you, you know. And I didn't ask for a lot of prayer because, for one thing, I don't think even spiritually we're dealing with what's going on with this pandemic very well. And people are dying. Yes, They're dying. And yes, I've never been this sick. And there were more than one or two times I thought I was dying. And I'm not exaggerating, trying to get effect. I'm being as perfectly honest as I can be. And I know if I could feel that way, having a good basis of health, I can't imagine seniors, babies, and people that are cancer survivors or people with weakened immune systems or chronic underlying health diseases. That's why we have close to 500,000 people have passed from this virus. So, in working on the mental and emotional recovery as well, there's a lot of brain fog with COVID because of the exhaustion. I'm napping all the time. I don't care who I have to meet with. If my body says lay down, my brother can tell you. I'm like, night, night, peace out, get ready to take that nap. Because rest is probably one of the best things. Lots of prayer. I saturate myself with worship music and I play the Bible, audio Bible or books. I listen to very few people, but I highly advocate you do what builds you up in your faith, and understand this this pandemic. I don't think it's going anywhere. So I'm treating it like the enemy it is. I'm sharing this information on my platform with the hopes that just my experience might encourage someone. Oh, I need to go get some aspirin. Oh, I need to get ibuprofen. I need to get Tylenol. I need to have a temperature taker. I need to have an oxygenator. I need to have a blood pressure cuff. And just personally, anybody over 50 that doesn't have their own blood pressure cuff, I don't know what's wrong with you. You should be monitoring your blood pressure anyway, COVID or no COVID. Try to stay positive and think positive. And that was the hardest thing when I was so sick, was just because work didn't stop. People didn't stop wanting to meet with me and talk with me. And I'm like, I'm trying not to die. So I basically shut my business down because I had to focus on getting well, because people will kill you so they can live. Remember what I said, people aren't against you. They're just for themselves. That is a truth. It's human nature. But again, I did have some encounters with people that prayed for me, the nurses and doctors and EMTs and everybody, especially, like I said, I had 6 male EMTs in my bedroom when the ambulance came to my house. And they were a delight and so concerned. And basically told me something that was so disturbing is, we can take you to the hospital, but they're just going to put you in ICU and you'll be alone. And I actually have a friend, Garfield, who has been posting about his experience being in ICU with COVID. Him and his wife both had COVID. And I think if I brought him on here, he would share with you, this ain't just like the flu. So work on your mindset. Be cautious. I'm not telling you to be afraid, but I am telling you to be cautious and know where people are going that are around you. That's family, friends, boyfriend, girlfriend. I don't care. My brother, who doesn't go anywhere, he knows who you talking to. And I talk to no one right now. I'm not talking to my neighbors. I'm not within 10 feet of any human being. if I can avoid it. So that's my experience. And I hope something I shared will be helpful. I hope something I shared will be beneficial. I hope you will take something I said and incorporate it into your war chest for your own advocacy, for your own health and well being. I pray you can avoid catching this virus, but I do want to say the chances are great. So have a plan. Understand again, I know I've said it at least 10 times. This ain't just like the flu. Stop saying that. It's not true. It's not true. So that's the show for today. I went way long, but had so much to share. And I've been on the air in 3 weeks, so I can stay on an hour if I want to. Anyway, I'm grateful. I bless God for his mercy, his grace, and I'm hopeful and prayerful for us all. Next week's show, I'm going to go back to teaching pandemic recovery tips. And before I became ill, I taught about focus. The next step is habit forming and habit breaking, and which goes along with my ebook, which you can buy now. I have to go back to Kindle and finish uploading my books because I finally got on Kindle. But my ebook, You Shall Be Consistent, contains a lot of information about consistency and habit forming and habit breaking and defeating procrastination. So I'll be talking about that. And then I'm going to have a guest on. I'm working to see who I can bring on that will talk about behaviors and pandemic recovery and advocacy for your own health and well-being. I've joined a couple of groups that are very much about you learning how to remain healthy for yourself, because you can't depend on the system. You can't depend on medical professionals. You have to care for yourself, your own temple. Okay? So thank you for joining me. Please click like and share and follow me on YouTube. If you're watching the rebroadcast, I was about 15 minutes into my broadcast before my stream told me, oh, you're not live on Facebook. You need to click this button. So it's going to pop up in the middle of the conversation. But you can go to my YouTube and watch the entire stream on YouTube. And make sure you subscribe so you can see me anytime I'm on air. My schedule may change a little bit simply because I've got so much work to catch up on. And that may prevent me from getting guests and doing all the stuff for the show as a singular focus. But my team is going to be helping me next week. Hopefully I can get all of that back rolling again. Thank you for joining me. And again, I hope something I shared will help you should you, God forbid, contract COVID or anyone you love. We all need to band together, work together for pandemic recovery. And that's what my show is all about this first part of 2021. Which I'm not giving up on this year. I'm not giving up. But have a blessed rest of your day. And I'm Cheryl Carr, your work doctor. And this is Achieve with Dr. C. See you next Monday, 10 a.m. CST. Bye.